Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido, and today it is the Melemele Rumbles, our first ever PokeType League TCG champions, going up against the Kitakami Rogues, our reigning champions. But for both these sides, their season hasn't looked anything but champion, because they are only one spot away from the bottom of the leaderboard, with the Rumbles in 10th and the Rogues in 9th. This is not the season start that either side has wanted, but this is an opportunity for them to both turn it around. So with all that said, let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win this matchup. Will it be the fighting decks? Will it be the darkness decks? Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
And starting off this match for the Melemele Rumbles, they are playing with their spinning plow deck. We can see the Phanpy and the Hitmontop in hand. They've already got the Donphan plus that Memory Light and the rare candy. Phanpy going in the active spot, Hitmontop on the bench. For the Rogues, they're playing their Atrocity Illusions deck, only having the Zoroark that they move into the active spot. They've also got the Melemele, the Dark Pendant, the Traveling Merchant, and the Pokemon Communication. But I do stand corrected, that is our friend Melemele, but it is going to be that Hitmontop being pulled for the Rumbles. That second one going onto the bench as well. Now, there's not much else they can do this turn, so they do end it there, sending it over to the Rogues, who do pull the potion. They're starting to generate their energy here as they do play that Pokemon Communication to send the Melemele back into their deck, and in return they get that Leap over Absol, who can target Pokemon that are benched on the opposing side. So they do lay them onto their own bench, playing their Traveling Merchant, looking for a Pokemon tool in their top 4 cards. There is the Rocky Helmet as well. Now they do have to reshuffle those other 3 cards into their deck, but they move the Dark Pendant here onto the Zoroark. So if Zoroark takes damage from the opposing Pokemon, they do have to reshuffle a card in their hand back into their deck as they get their first energy to go for this ram, getting that 20 damage onto the Phanpy. Phanpy with that flail does damage equal to the damage that they have taken for a single energy, as the second Donphan is pulled, who does require 3 energy, but with that exoskeleton ability they take 20 less damage from opposing Pokemon. But now they've got the Memory Light, so this actually allows them to do moves that Phanpy had, so they can go for the flail to get that 20 damage onto the Zoroark. But there is that Dark Pendant coming into play, sending that other Donphan back into the deck of the Rumbles, as our friend Melemele has once again been pulled for the Rogues, clearly wanting to stay in the hand of this Atrocity Illusions deck. It is the potion being played by the Rogues to restore that health of Zoroark back up to 60 here. And again, the Rogues are our reigning champions. That is how they have the full art and the flare on their cards, as it is 0 damage being done to the Donphan due to that exoskeleton. They did just get a first energy onto the Absol as the Giant Cape is pulled for the Rumbles. Now for the Land Crush of Donphan, it does require 3 energy, so it still actually can't go for that, only just receiving its second energy now. But with that said, they can continue to flail about getting another 20 damage onto the Zoroark, but again, that Dark Pendant, this time sending the Giant Cape back into the deck of the Rumbles, as the Rogues, they do pull their X speed here. This could bring down that retreat cost of Zoroark, and they are thinking of playing it here. Clearly hoping that they can potentially get a Zoroark in hand. They do play the X speed, so it's a 0 energy retreat cost for the Zoroark. This allows Absol to move into that active spot and can start targeting down those Hitmontops with the Leap Over. It cannot do any damage to the Donphan. There is a second energy going onto the Zoroark. They've got that Rocky Helmet. They do place it onto the Absol, so anyone who does damage to the Absol does take 20 recoil damage. The Leap Over does target down one of those Hitmontops, bringing them down to 50 health as it comes back over to the Rumbles, who do pull the Giant Cape already. We're sure they reshuffled their deck then, but they do get the third energy onto the Donphan, so that Land Crush is ready to go, capable of 80 damage, or they can go for the flail that only does 20, but with that 80 damage they take Absol off the table, moving them into the discard pile, and the Rumbles will take the first battle point here in game 1 of this 3-game series, where for each of these 3 games that is contested, there are 2 victory points up for grabs that are counted towards the leaderboard. Keeping in mind, every battle point and every ounce of damage done across these 3 matches also counts towards the leaderboard, so all 3 games are just as important as each other. But it's not a basic Pokemon that's pulled for the Rogues, so they can only go for this ram that does 0 to the Rumbles. And I normally say it's the first to 3 battle points in a game, but if you have an empty bench and you lose your active Pokemon, you automatically lose the game. And with the Land Crush from the Donphan, they wipe the Zoroark off the table, and this spinning plow deck quickly takes game 1 over this Monstrosity Illusions deck. And as we have our first table reset, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the action in the PokeType League TCG. But just like that, we are already into game 2. Once again, it will be the Rumbles going first, this time with their Cliff Cave deck, and they've got the Sudowoodo in hand going into their active spot. It's the Fear Factory deck of the Rogues with their Seviper going into their active spot, both sides with only one basic Pokemon in their opening hand. But here we go, game 2, as the Rumbles are going first. They've got their Professor's Research, the Lyra, the Rocky Helmet, the Crustle, and they have just pulled the Gliscor, but it is going to be the Professor's Research, allowing them to get an additional 2 cards. They get the Memory Light, they get their X Speed as well, and they are going to attach the Rocky Helmet to the Sudowoodo. We did see this in effect in game 1, so hopefully you remember the effects of that Rocky Helmet, but it does come back over to the Rogues for their first turn of game 2. They did pull the Golbat, already having a Crobat in hand. They've also got the Pokemon Communication, that Dark Pendant again, and the Rescue Scarf. Both these sides want a basic Pokemon on their bench. Neither side wants what happened to that Monstrosity Illusions deck in game 1. They have just attached the first energy to the Seviper, and after many back and forth, they decide not to do anything else, as it is the Crustle being pulled for the Rumbles, immediately going onto their bench here. Keeping in mind that Seviper does have that weakness to the fighting types as well, as it is going to be that first energy put onto Sudowoodo. It does require 2 energy for the Rock Throw. It does get that additional 20 damage thanks to the weakness. The Rare Candy has been pulled for the Rogues. They are going to play their Pokemon Communication. They are going to send the Golbat back into their deck, hoping for a Zubat potentially to get that Crobat online, but it's the other Golbat that is pulled out of their deck. They do get a second energy onto Seviper. If they go on the offensive, they will take 20 recall damage. That will put Seviper into discard range. They do put the Dark Pendant onto Seviper. They can go for the offensive, but again, they will put themselves into discard range. And so they decide to do nothing, hoping they can pull a basic Pokemon on the next turn. Their second Gliscor has been pulled for the Melemele Rumbles. No Gligar just yet, but they are ready to get online with the Rock Throw. They also get Crustle onto the bench. And Sudowoodo with that Rock Throw getting that 50 damage plus the additional 20, bringing Seviper well into discard range. Only 10 health remain as one of those Gliscors go back into the deck of the Rumbles. And the Rogues, they pull that Full Art Spinarak. These are the cards that they earned becoming our champion side, and they need to get their season on track if they hope to repeat. But not just that, to take that first ever Golden Pokeball in the PokeType League TCG, because that is also up for grabs, as only the champion side in next season will have that Golden Pokeball in each of their decks. They have got a first energy onto the Spinarak if they go for this Fateful Fang, and that's exactly what they're going to do. That's 40 damage onto the Sudowoodo, but the recoil damage will take Seviper off the board, and unfortunately for them, Spinarak can only... Spinarak is also weak to the Sudowoodo. I don't know what this Fear Factory deck are thinking. Maybe the Rogues are just panicking, or they are too arrogant to realize what is in front of them, because the Rumbles, they pull the Gliscor once again, but they are free to go for this Rock Throw, and they will quickly as they took game 1, they are taking game 2 with this Cliff Cave deck over the Fear Factory deck, and they are looking for that clean sweep in game 3. But we are into game 3 now, and for the third straight game, it is the Rumbles going first with their final remaining deck, the Crowded Cavern deck, only having that Diglett in hand going into their active spot. It is the Rogues with their Radio Takeover deck, moving their Houndour into their active spot. Here we go, both sides with only one basic Pokemon, but it is the 2 Houndooms already in hand for the Rogues. The Rumbles, they've got their Potion, Rocky Helmet, XP, Professor's Research, and they have just pulled the Relicanth. That basic Pokemon can go onto their bench. They will play the Professor's Research, they get the Binacle, and they get that Cliff Crumbler Dog Trio, who also only requires a single energy. When it goes for that, it does 40 damage, but they also discard the top card of their deck, and if it is a fighting type card, they do an additional 60 damage. The Traveler Merchant has been pulled for the Rogues. They've also got the Memory Light and the Silver in hand. They are going with the Traveling Merchant, hoping to get a Pokemon tool out of the top 4 cards. There is the Giant Cape in there, so they can get that additional 20 health on to Houndour, but they don't know that there is a Dugtrio in hand right now for the Rumbles. They could actually take it on their next turn if that top card that they discard is a fighting type. Now they did pull the Pokemon Communication. Again, they do discard the top card if they go for that Cliff Crumbler, which it would be crazy to not do. They do get the Dugtrio. This may be the quickest game we have ever seen in the PokeType League TCG. They are going to attach the Rocky Helmet just in case, but here it is, that first energy onto the Dugtrio. If it is a fighting type card, they will take game 3. And it's the other Diglett. The Rumbles have just clean swept the Rogues in absolute dominating fashion, not needing to take 3 battle points across any of the 3 games with this impressive victory. But these two sides are still close towards the bottom of the leaderboard, switching spots as the Rumbles next round will be going up against the Pastoria Hydros, whereas the Rogues, they'll be facing the Levincia Wonders. But until then, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what cards you pulled today. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, send thanks. And I'll see you when you see me.